Hello comrades, yours KVS. Today I want to discuss about the National Pension Scheme with all of you. The National Pension Scheme, that is a new pension scheme. It was launched on 23/12/2013, given effect from 1/1/2004. All the state governments except West Bengal, this was extended to all the remaining states. And the state government employees are now covered under the National Pension Scheme. At the time of launching of the new pension scheme, it was not seriously felt by the staff because there was a two-third abolition of the post was in existence, and the seriousness was not felt in the railway employees because there was no recruitment in the railway sector during those times also. After 2010, the seriousness is definitely felt, and particularly the GDS who are promoted to postman or MTS, they have become the victims and worst affected comrades due to the introduction of this NPS. The railway employees are also facing the seriousness after the 2010. Thereafter, a movement has been built up. Actually, it was built up. While tracing the history, on 8th February 2000, a tripartite Central Board of Trustees of the Employment Provident Fund, it was unanimously held. The report is investment century and not social security or social insurance century, and contains a number of recommendations and suggestions which are inconsistent with the ground of reality or practical consideration. It was very clearly told by the EPF that it is not practically workable and it is not good for the employees, and it is not a social security pension in 8th February 2000 itself. Actually, the CBT, the Central Board of Trustees of the EPF, it was of the unanimous opinion that the proposals in the report, that is the report which has been released by the central government for introduction of the national pension scheme during 2000, it will definitely seriously jeopardize the safety and future savings of the workers as well as the whole concept of the social security and social insurance. It was clearly dealt by the employees' provident fund in the initial bud itself. Even the Bhattacharjee committee, which was appointed by the NDA government, did not recommend. It has only recommended the defined contribution scheme and not such a type of national pension scheme. Actually, the Bhattacharjee committee has recommended a hybrid direct benefit, direct contribution or mixed scheme that has not been implemented, and the NPS is entirely different. Even the policy on pension reforms emerges out of the Waldwang report titled Averting the Old Age Crisis. The report advocated pension sector's reforms. The essence of the Waldwang report was not to tackle the crisis faced by the elderly in their old age, as professed in the title of the report, but to resolve the crisis of the pension pay outburden of the government world over. So, in order to reduce the pay burden of the central government, the NPS system has been introduced for the central government employees, which is not at all a social security pension and which is against to the interest of the employees. If the market plunges, there will be loss for which the employees are not responsible. It is just like a gambling. It affects the planning of the officials after their retirement due to the fluctuation in market. There is no guarantee of return. There is no minimum pension guaranteed under the national pension scheme. And we are totally opposing it. We are totally opposing it. It is not a national pension scheme, it is a no pension scheme only. We are opposing the new pension scheme right from the beginning. Why are we opposing the new pension scheme? First of all, there is no minimum guarantee under the national pension scheme. The demand of the employees that 50% of the last pay drawn to the employee should be the minimum pension of the NPS has not yet been considered by the government, despite serious protests, strikes, and everything we are continuously observing in the past very many years. The government is not sympathetic over our genuine demand and they want to continue the national pension scheme and not to reintroduce the social pension scheme. This is the major factor, this is the main concern that we are totally opposing the national pension scheme. After the 7th Pay Commission, the 7th Pay Commission has also commented that the employees are not satisfied with the national pension scheme and the NPS has not come under the purview of the terms of reference. They cannot discuss about it, but the government has to consider the plight of the employees and to mitigate the grievances under the NPS. The government appointed a committee thereafter. It is just to revamp that NPS and not to scrap the NPS. The government has just to revamp, and the fate of the committee is not yet known to anyone. The committee reports has not been implemented. The 10% has been increased to 14% contribution by the employer side. Nothing else. There is no, the NPS has not been scrapped and the social security pension has not been reintroduced. The NPS scheme, it is having its own set of advantages and disadvantages. And it cannot be compared and the investment options, which is insufficient, and even the employee themselves are permitted to invest the amount they would have utilized better than the options available at this juncture. The NPS restricted the withdrawals. Even at the time of retirement, they are not going to get the full amount of their savings and they have to reinvest, which details we are going to discuss later on. The NPS restricts all kinds of withdrawals before the subscriber reaches the age of 60. The subscriber can make first withdrawal from NPS after 10 years of the opening account and a total of only 3 withdrawals till the superannuation. The withdrawal cannot be more than the total sum of all contributions made by the subscriber. The contribution that are made by the employer towards employees' NPS fund are not termed as the investment for the purpose of withdrawal. 60% of the investment in the NPS is taxed upon by the Government of India under the income tax, and while 40% escapes taxation. The subscriber cannot invest more than 50% of his total investment in the NPS account towards the equities. When it is a government scheme, the social security should be there. The investment should be made instead of corporations, corporate bonds. It should be invested in the government securities and the equities. Market fluctuation is definitely affecting the investment of the employees. It is most apt to say that in the DS Nagara case, it was clearly pronounced that pension is a not bounty. It is a social welfare measure and it is not an ex gratia payment but the payment for the past services rendered. So we are totally opposing the national pension scheme, and the details about the national pension scheme we will discuss in the next episode. With this, I am concluding. Yours, Xavier.